and welcome back to another episode of SKC Live. I'm Brian Kipp. I'm actually really excited to be joined by my longtime friend, industry marketing legend. Anything to do with marketing, anything to do with crazy ideas, anything to do with anything like that, Mr. Shai Cohen.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
I love giving really good introductions to like my friends because, I mean, we're both in the same space. But, man, you have done it the best for probably the longest time that I know. I mean, who else has been doing it as long as you and as good as you?
You know what? That's a great point. Looking back, I can't really think in my head of somebody that's been doing this as long as I have and what I do.
Yeah.
People have come and gone. People have went to other industries. People have crossed over and did all kinds of different things. But, yeah.
Yeah, because, I met you when you were at Sapphire, but I know that you were also doing stuff before Sapphire.
I started with Sapphire, and I left for a couple of years. I went to Scores.
Oh, that's right, with Dennis.
Yeah, and then I came back to Sapphire. So I think Sapphire opened in 2003 or something like that. And, yeah, it's been a great journey. It was fun. It was exciting. It was a lot of highs, a lot of lows. It was great.
It's funny because I remember I was doing a marketing thing with in the cannabis world called Social Weed, and all of a sudden I heard through the grapevine that Shai left Sapphire to go be the VP of MedMen. I mean, what got you out of your industry temporarily to go over there, other than probably they gave you an amazing offer?
Yeah, it was definitely one of those too good to pass on kind of deals, you know. But anybody who knows me, I'm an independent thinker. I say what I think. I don't care if I offend somebody along the way.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it real, what you might call it.
Yep.
So if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna try to be the best at it, and give no fucks at the same time.
No, for sure. The thing is that MedMen was the top of the food chain when you joined the team, and you elevated that brand out here in Vegas. I mean, you took some of the tips and tricks from the hospitality, nightlife, strip club world, and you inputted into building up those relationships with drivers, with Ubers, and the guy next door is your good friend with Liquor World at one of the locations off Paradise, off the Strip. I just remember hearing all these things. I'm going, man, because I was actually working with a couple other cannabis brands. I'm like, man, guys, we need to take notes. Like, whatever Shai is going to do, he's going to do it better than anybody.
Yeah, like you called it, Vegas is really about relationships and keeping your word, Like, you're going to say something, do it. And then next time you call somebody, they're going to be right there.
Oh, no, absolutely.
So I think I have that record. But one thing I can say that for me, like I said, as an independent thinker and somebody that just doesn't give a shit, working in a corporate environment is a little tough.
Yes.
And not because I have to change maybe the way I do things or say things or whatever. I think sometimes they don't really know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in an office, having Zoom meetings, writing emails, not really physically being on the ground, understanding how any place works. We're talking about Vegas right now, right? So we know when the conventions are coming, how they're coming, where they're coming from, where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
All those things add up to you being successful at what you do is getting the customer, right? Because at the end of the day, a guy that comes here is on anybody's list, right? Of course, strip clubs want him, nightclubs want him, restaurants want him, casinos want him. Yes. Everybody's fighting for the same guy, and it's like, how do you tap into him, right?
Yep.
But if you know how they travel and where they come from and what they do and that whole thing behind it, makes it a whole lot easier for you.
Oh no, for sure. I mean that right there's a science behind marketing.
Yeah.
You have to know what your demographic is, and you got to know who your customer is. Most importantly, but in Vegas we've been doing it for so long that you're right. There's a trend. COVID kind of like flipped it around a little bit and made it to where some of the conventions were coming in earlier, and but I believe 2023 we're right back on track. But you're right though. Like, if you have somebody that's been doing this a long time in the industry, it's literally like, don't try to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is already there. Let's just make it roll faster and more efficiently.
100%. Spin that same wheel. You're not gonna teach an old dog a new trick, right?
Yep.
It works because it works, and that's just how it is. And you got to figure out how to tap into it. You're not gonna be able to do anything different. And I think with the nightclubs, obviously they got it way easier, right? There's room right over their head, right? People are staying there. They're on the property. So when you're in a standalone building, it's a lot harder. And
Absolutely.
casinos will do anything to keep the players inside. But then at the same time, you're also doing, okay, let's just use Tao as an example. They're at the Venetian. Caesars, the company is going to have a problem sending their guests to Tao because he's, at the end of the day, he's stepping into Venetian. And if he's a degenerate gambler, he's going to end up on their tables.
Exactly.
So there's all these little elements that I guess most people don't think about because they have no reason to, but that we know of. And it's really a chess game, and it's always putting your horse in the best position. It's that kind of thing.
Well, it's funny that you bring that. You talk about that because I did a short time over at Wynn, opening up Encore Beach Club and closing down Blush Nightclub. But the one thing that the whole industry had the biggest head scratcher on was when Hakkasan opened up at MGM. MGM put a lot of money, a lot of emphasis, a lot of advertising spend. And Hakkasan was a great nightclub and was arguably number 2 and behind Excess. But then all of a sudden they did a deal with Caesars and opened up Omnia. And I didn't understand that move at all. I was beyond shocked that MGM even allowed it because for that exact reason what you just said. Now you're taking the customer you've already curated over at Hakkasan, and now you're introducing them to a brand new property, a brand new club, a better product. I think Omnia is a better club. Same DJ, same everything, and you're basically saying, oh yeah, by the way, but now we're going to go over here, and it never really made sense to me. I mean now with Tao buying Hakkasan Group, and it doesn't really matter anymore. They're the big fish on the sea, but no, even to get in. So you went from MedMen, and then I believe the pandemic hit, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So it was right around the same time. You ended up getting out of that industry. We don't have to go into your whole travel plans of what you did after that, but I know that you ended up out of the country, probably kind of regrouping on what Shai Cohen wanted to do, and you ended up in Miami.
I did. I ended up in Miami after a year in Costa Rica, which was fucking great, But even surfing and smoking weed all day gets old, right?
Yeah.
So
depends on who you ask.
Depends on who I ask.
There's gonna be some people who will be like, no, that's actually a really good thing.
Yeah. So yeah, and I always stayed in touch with Dennis, and I told him when I was going to Costa Rica, and we talked a few times when I was there, and then I told him that I'm thinking of coming back. And he said that there's opportunities with him. He's growing and that kind of stuff. So I ended up in Miami. It was a great experience. I loved the brand. I loved the people. I loved everything about it. But I don't know how to say it. I felt almost...
Well, your heart's in Vegas.
My heart's in Vegas, and I almost felt like a fish out of water in Miami, where here I feel like I'm a pretty big fish in the Vegas Ocean.
Yeah.
And even though, I was with the biggest, best brand in the world, it just was kind of weird for me. I didn't feel that was my place for some strange reason. All doors were open, people were great, endless opportunities, but just something. It was something. And then I came to visit my dad, and I came out of the plane at the airport, and all of a sudden the machines, the noise, the lights, and I was like, I don't know, something came over me, and I was like, wow. And then right then and then I realized Vegas is my home. And throughout the week that I was here, it was amazing. I never left. So I made that choice to come back here. Obviously, I'm in good terms with 11 Group. I'm happy to have had that experience. Mm-hmm. And it really, I think, made me realize and think a little bit different about our industry. Because I think, being the old type strip club, the traditional strip club,
yep,
is kind of played out in a way. There's got to be more things going on. There's got to be things to cater to different people. There's always that VIP room where the guy can go in and have fun with his favorite girl. But if you want to be in the main room, you need other things to keep you there longer.
Well, I mean, and we got to kind of say 11 kind of perfected that.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, and just so people know who Dennis. We're talking about Dennis Agori, the creator, CEO of 11. He's actually from Vegas, or he'd done a lot of stuff here in Vegas.
Yeah. In fact, Scores, while we were here, he started doing the theatrics, and we started in after hours. He was really testing. I mean, he didn't really tell anybody what he was doing, but he was really testing how this thing would work.
He normally does it.
And then he shows up in Miami, and he does like the thing that is the most amazing thing. I mean, we can use the word "got lucky," but I don't believe in getting lucky, because you put yourself in a position to be in. Well,
he had all that experience leading up to it. And you're right, he was testing little things along the way. Because you're right, the old cabaret way of doing a gentleman's club, I'm not saying it's dead, because there's definitely still a market for it. But I definitely think that if you want to attract the younger demographic, and I kind of want to get off on a tangent here, because I know I'm going to forget this point if I don't. But I had this conversation with Alan, the owner of Peppermint Hippo, which is now where you're the new marketing guru. And Alan brought up a really good point to me, and he said, you know what? He goes, all these other clubs around Vegas, because Alan was at Spearmint Rhino for a long time, and arguably number one gentleman's club on the planet until 11 came around. And he said that they kept doing everything in their power to cater to the current client that they've had, and that they've had since the beginning of opening, 98, 99, around that time period. And they never were doing anything to try to, attract new customers. And all those customers that were like between 35 and 45 are now between 55 and 75. I mean, they're all older now, and they fall off. They get married, they get old, they retire, they don't come to Vegas anymore, whatever the case is. But all those clubs that started doing other things to attract customers, Crazy Horse 3, Sapphire, Hustler, even Hustler. I mean, me and Gino, one of the partners of 11, we were over at Hustler, and we figured we had to do something different and to even compete. And that was when Rhino was arguably number one. Sapphire was a cool second, and you were there. And literally just even watching what you were doing over at Sapphire. I mean, your anniversary parties were incredible, by the way. You guys had like ping pong tournaments. You guys had all these different things. And then even to the point where you guys evolved into opening up a pool, a day club. And it's just natural that, that you're now starting off with a brand new, fresh group, but a couple years old the group is.
Yeah.
And, but they all have a lot of experience. And this is what, like the 9th or 10th club?
No, Vegas is club number 7. But since then, and remember, opened in April. So now there's 10 clubs. So since April, there's 3 more that opened.
Oh, that's amazing.
Probably by June of 23, there'll be 4 more clubs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And we're just going to keep opening up clubs. And the good thing is that I've worked with Shai indirectly when he was at Sapphire for one of the partners' son had a club. We worked together at 11, and now we're back at it with Peppermint Hippo.
Yeah, it's totally cool and exciting, man.
Yeah, but you know what it is. You take 2. I mean, and we're old guys. We really are. But we have the most. But I'm gonna say we're so open-minded that we're learning the TikToks and all the Gen X's and Gen Z's and the ways of thinking. But we both agree on one main principle. We got to figure out how to get that target audience into the club to spend money. And you're starting to do some incredible things over at Hippo. I mean, actually, really good things. And a lot of people I think a lot of people down the road are gonna look at you, and they're gonna label you in a we'll call it a delta way, not even a negative way. Oh, you're trying to rip this off. You're trying to steal from this. I think you kind of were doing it before a lot of these other people, or along a lot of of these people in the industry, like the Den Segories with 11. I mean, you were there when he was testing it out years ago, but I definitely think that Vegas needs that fresh new adult entertainment that could also be female friendly, that can be a wow moment. I can still pop off bottles and make it rain. But yeah, I mean, I'm beyond excited to be continuing this journey with you.
Yeah, 100%. So, Vegas is all about experience, right? Like, if you live wherever you live, you go to a gentleman's club, you expect it to be a gentleman's club, right?
Yep.
But here, you got to have something extra. I got to tell you, for example, I think a lot of California people, it's a mental clock, somewhere around 1:30, 2 a.m., they got to go. They got to be on the move because their body tells them we're going to close down for a minute. But then they're like, oh, shit, we're in Vegas. We're not going home. We're going to the next spot. So, why would you leave a great place and go to a place not so great, right? So you have to have just as great or even better for somebody to move on and be just as excited for his next stop of his weekend. And I think that's what we're trying to create, something that's just as cool as fun as the nightclubs with a lot of friendly hot girls.
Oh no, for sure. But the thing is though too is that it's very hard for the gentlemen's clubs to compete with the nightclubs. And it's been last 15, 20 years. I mean, it's been the give and take, right? It's like you want to get that nightclub customer to come in, but you also don't want them to be already 5 bottles in and he's so wasted that he can't spend money at your place.
Right.
But if you can give them a little bit of the same, where like, hey, I'm in town for 3 days, I'm going here, and then I'm going to give you a shot. So when you do get that customer, you have to make sure that you give them the very best experience. And I think that what you're offering. I mean, the Hippo's got beautiful girls, great. I mean, pretty much anything that any other gentleman's club offers, you guys have plus. And I think that right there is why I'm more excited to be working with you and my team here at SKC, because developing out new visions and new branding, it's just always exciting to watch it come to life. I mean, a couple months ago, Shai calls me up on the phone and goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, I'm out. Hey, come to the club. I'm going to show you something. So went to the club, and he's like, "Hey, I got this performer about to go on stage. I just want you to watch it." And Shai is literally with a gimbal running around the stage trying to film this thing because I don't know if your camera guy wasn't there or whatever it was, but I ended up being the popper and but the whole thing was that he was so excited to show off something that hadn't really been done in a gentleman's club yet. And it's, I think it's going to work.
Yeah, I think after all these years, you want to put everything you've learned into action, but and also it's a personal mission also. You want to prove to yourself above all that everything you can take a club that just opened and make it the fucking best club in Vegas. Knowing that there's many other great clubs. But the fact that it's a new club and there's no set rules, there's no set minds, there's no we do this way, so we can't do it this way. We're right now writing how everything is going to be moving forward. And that is cool and exciting. You're coming in to set the standard. The standard has not been set. It's wide open book. You're going to write it.
When the owners and the partners and hire people like me and you to go in, the first and best thing you could ever do is open up the pathway, give us our boundaries, but let us do what we have to do. Because that right there is actually going to make it a lot more, because if anything, it's more personal pride. We know when things are not working out. We're going to stop it. We're going to pivot into something else. But the one thing we do really know is when it's working, because we have the pulse, the beat of the city. We're hearing the feedback from people. Because I mean, even relationships, like when you're in the gentleman's club world, you got to be friends with everybody, even other gentlemen's clubs. You kind of have to, right? But especially the nightclubs. I mean, the nightclubs are your driver, for all of your secondary business. I'll call it like the late night crowd, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas used to have an incredible after hours scene. And I can't say it kind of went away. It kind of went away. There's Club Ego that just opened up a few months ago. Actually, it's pretty close to your place. And they're doing phenomenal. But they're 200-person capacity. And they cater to underground market. You still got Dre's. But Dre's went 100% hip-hop after hours. And again, if that's your flavor, that's where you're going to go. But the after hour scene is just not really there. And even you guys are dipping into the after hour scene a little bit to kind of testing things out a little bit and see if you can make it work. I mean, Rhino did it back in the day. I know Sapphire. Did you guys ever do it at Sapphire?
At Sapphire we never really. We've had some nights where the showroom was kind of converted to a nightclub kind of atmosphere, but we soon realized we don't want to poke the bear. We want to make friends with the bear. It's not our business. We're not set up for it. That room is way too big. Like, go to a nightclub, have your fun, ask your host, where do I go next, and let them tell you come to Sapphire. That is the way to do it. I don't want to take away from anybody's business. Master of all trades, jack of none, or whatever it's called, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yep.
Be good at what you do. If you're a good gentleman's club, be a good gentleman's club. Don't try to do other things that is not your thing. That's really what I believe. Yeah, you can try new things and be a little different. Mm-hmm. But bottom line is, you can't take a donkey and tell him he's a racehorse. It's just not working.
No, for sure. I mean, and the thing is, even with Vegas, I mean, now that I'm not going to say we're wide open again, but I mean, we're as close as wide open again after COVID. The conventions are back on track, and then getting somebody like you to come in and fill that position over at the Hippo. AVN's coming to town, and that was one of the first phone calls you made when you took over that job, and you're like, "Hey, who's your sponsor? Where are you doing all this?" And they're like, "I don't know. Tell us a story a little bit about that."
Yeah, I've always been a fan of AVN because I think, first of all, it's fun and interesting. And over the years, I've made friends with some of the girls, and they're like super great people.
Yep.
We hang out, we go on vacations, whatever. So I don't know. It just became kind of almost like a family thing. I don't know how to explain it, right? But it's a great fun event. It's totally within our industry. We have been doing feature shows, and it brings in a lot of people. And I don't know, people have been following AVN. It used to be at the Venetian at the same time as CS, and it worked great because you had AVN, you had CS money. Then they separated. They end up being in January, but in different dates, and in changed property. In a way, Hard Rock was better from a guest standpoint than the Venetian, because Venetian, 5 p.m., you went home and it was over. At the Hard Rock, the girls stayed on property. The signs were on property. The party promo flyers were all over the property. You literally lived a 3-day event, which was fucking phenomenal from the guest standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's at Resorts World, which would be very interesting to see how that's going to play out.
Yep.
I don't know that they'll have free reign like they had at the Hard Rock. Maybe later. This is the first year. But I definitely be unbelievable because it's the same dates as CS again. Mm-hmm. And Internext is during the same dates where before it was the opener for AVN. So there's basically 3 conventions happening at once that relate to big money. And it's great for the club. It's great for town. Mm-hmm. It's great for the industry. And, with the industry being more accepted and a lot of girls doing OnlyFans and stuff like that, this is only going to get bigger.
Well, yeah, but so Peppermint Hippo, but you guys are going to be
We're the official gentlemen's club. We have official parties Friday night and Saturday night. I have not seen yet, supposedly it's in my email today, the 3 girls we're going to have Friday and the 3 girls that we're going to have on doing feature show Saturday.
Wow, so you could actually have a good lineup of talent.
Yeah, great lineup, and yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait to get all the CS guys to come in the club and watch the feature shows.
Well, and if a lot of people don't know what CES is, it's by far, hands down, the number one convention driver money wise for Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think there's like 200,000 people here during that time.
Yeah,
And it's huge money. I mean, you can just the room rates alone, what they're asking and everything around it. It's the best time of the year for sure.
well, it's crazy. So you have CES. Everybody always look forward to CES. It's always right after New Year. So you're partying out of the way, then you get right back to work. But Vegas has in the next 12 to 15 months, we're going to have two other major events, F1 and the Super Bowl.
Both unbelievable, man.
So what are you guys doing to get prepared? Get prepared for that.
F1, we are still preparing, trying to come up with concepts and stuff. For Super Bowl, we're gonna have Skybox for the season of 2023. We have 9 home games. We have 11 tickets per game. So we're going to create packages, bottle packages that include the tickets. And we also have Super Bowl tickets. So we can incorporate those into packages, or we might just give them away to our customers,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so that is really exciting on its own. And F1, I mean, if you think about it, in my mind, Miami F1 was supposed to be the shit. But when you really think about it, it's not like they were driving on South Beach. They were not going over the bridge. They were like pretty much where the Hard Rock is. It's cool, but it's not as exciting as these cars going down Las Vegas Boulevard. I mean, this is unbelievable to be in the center of the city going that fast and people on bleachers like sitting there watching it. This is just like, you can't even, like, unless you actually see it, like, you won't believe that this could actually happen.
I
Really?
I 100% agree. I mean, obviously, we were both in Miami during the F1 in Miami. Probably one of the best weekends that we've had. In Miami, you've got Art Basel, which I just got back from. You've got Ultra. Bitcoin is actually becoming a big thing, but the industry is a little bearish right now. But when it gets back to bullish, I think it's still going to be great. But then F1, I mean, F1 is arguably, has got to be right up there with Basel, which has always been number one. Now Vegas is actually going to get an event, and it's crazy because Vegas has always had a gap. Our season, our number one season, January, February, March. All the money comes into town conventions. The second is April, May, June. And then going into summertime because, July, August, September is so hot. And then you're kind of coming out of that and everybody's on, family vacations. And, Vegas has a little bit of a family component, but it's not definitely the destination to bring the kids. But always the slowest months has been October, November, December. Always historically. Just dead. The rodeo's not in town. Nobody's here. But completely
November had like a few decent conventions, but yeah.
Well, it had SEMA.
Yeah, but then going into, you're right, writing out December and then going into January and where it's just like nonstop is totally crazy.
Well, yeah, because I remember when the rodeo left, when NFR left in that first week or so of December, everybody, if you wanted to take a vacation, that's when you did it. Because that if you're in hospitality, you got to be back here for New Year's. New Year's was going to be the number one. I mean, I think Memorial Day weekend has always been the number one weekend in Las Vegas, but New Year's being a cool second, right? But now we've got all the stuff leading up to it. Now you have F1 in the middle of November. Then you still got the football games. You got hockey games. All these rumors about the Oakland A's or another Major League Baseball team coming to Las Vegas. I can't imagine them, not putting the stadium on the Strip or very, very, very near the Strip.
And the Sphere, don't forget the Sphere, the Tau Sphere, the MSG. I mean, that's just like
another draw.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally, I remember at one point Vegas had about 120,000 rooms on the Strip, and I'm not sure if that counts like Green Valley Ranch and a couple of the outlining properties here in town. But I don't know if I think we need more rooms. I mean, I mean, Resort World was the last major property to open up on the Strip. Now they've got slated for 2 more properties. You got Fontainebleau. Fontainebleau is going to be opening up. And then they got that Moon project.
Right.
I mean, first of all, that looks super fucking cool.
It looks like our moon parties in Gold Rush.
Your creative mind never stops because because immediately you're always trying to figure out a solution to a problem. If it's like, hey, you know, the worst thing someone can do to you is go up to you and say, oh, this weekend is going to be dead. And you're like, well, let's figure out something to do. Like, hey, and I remember, you know, early days of working with you with the 11 group, we came up with the full moon parties. What was a full moon party? It was it was literally during the full moon, we put up a moon inside the club, and we called it a full moon party, and that was it.
And we made sure that those LED walls had graphics to accommodate it.
No, 100%. I mean, we definitely have, but what, like, really, what was it? I mean, if anybody, I get a lot of people that talk to me and they say, Brian, you know, like, how do you get into marketing? How do you get into this? How do you get into that? We took an idea that is natural. The moon comes up and it rotates, every 28 days, it becomes a full moon again. We literally were like, oh, let's do a party called Full Moon Party. And just ran with it. Had a DJ, activation, you know, some type of promotion, bottles, specials, whatever it was for Gold Rush specifically. And now it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a staple, but everybody knows, oh, Full Moon Party, are you going to Gold Rush? I mean, it's almost been a year now. Actually, I think it's been a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you don't always have to have like Tiesto. You don't always have to have like, you know, the hottest girls in the club. All these stuff, you know, all that stuff is very beneficial. You know, if you have access to it, go for it. But you don't always have to have that to have a good party. You just have to believe in the concept of what you're trying to do. You know, because people always ask me, like, you know, when they're coming into town, they're like, "Hey, Brian, what's the best nightclub to go to?" And historically, I've always looked up on the thing. And whatever the number one DJ was playing at whatever club, I'm like, that's the best party. They're like, well, why is that? Because that's where everybody's going to be. Not because he's the best DJ in your mind, but if you know Tiesto spinning at Zouk at Resort World, you know the place is going to be packed. It's not going to be dead. It's not even. So if I'm going to go and invest $5,000-$10,000 into a VIP table because I want to have this really good experience, I want to be around beautiful people and have a good party vibe, I'm going to go to a place that's almost a guarantee, right? I'm not going to go to a place, unless it's like an Excess, an Omnia, a Marquee, a Tau, you know, the other top 5 are great too. But no, I mean, like literally just sitting down and coming up with I don't want to say silly ideas, but sometimes the most silliest idea turns into the biggest thing. Because one thing we were actually talking about when we were, you know, talking about working together, you know, Peppermint Hippo, SKC group, kind of joining forces, was coming up with different concept parties and different things that we can actually brand and move forward with, kind of like a full moon, right? So the one thing that we started spinning around, I'm not going to like leak anything out here, but is let's go ahead and plan a monthly event. Let's take the top 4 or 5 events and make them annuals the next year and just keep rolling them. Why not?
It's creating a monthly event for a business that's open 7 days. It's different than when you're trying to do something with a nightclub that's only open on the weekend. So that actually felt perfect because it could be any day of the week every month. It's never consistent. Some days, yeah, maybe you wish it wasn't on a Friday or Saturday because those are your busy nights anyway.
Yep.
But it didn't matter because when it was on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever, it really made the night.
Oh, for sure.
So in that case, that specific thing worked out perfect.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, and the thing is, I mean, just being able to, you know, have the right team around you, because me and you can sit down all day long and come up with. I guarantee you, we could fill a calendar right now. If we had one day, we could sit in a room and we can fill a calendar for the following year with all these great ideas. What we need is people to execute this.
Yeah.
And you know, and not just execute as in like boots on the ground, but hey, we're doing a theme party and we're going to call it like what you guys did for Halloween, Willy Wonka. Well, we need props. We need this. We need little guys. We need little women. Like we need to tie it all together somehow.
Yeah.
So and even graphics and that there's a lot of different things that go into the stuff. It's not just the person that comes up with that great idea. Because even take people like let's talk about Gino, right? Good friend of ours. Gino's a managing partner at 11. And but the one thing, if you don't know about him, he's literally one of the smartest marketing guys strategically that I've ever met. He thinks the whole thing through, the party from start to finish. You have that same quality, I have that same quality, just different. I would say you're a little bit more aggressive than I am when it comes to certain things, but that works. When you have that control, you can be aggressive because, again, you know when to turn on the gas or hit the gas, and you know when to slam on the brakes. And, we're not going to keep pushing something through that doesn't work. We're not trying to, take a round peg and trying to put it through a square hole. You know what I mean? But if the round peg is small enough and it fits through the square hole, yeah, we might do that. And the next time we're going to see if we can get a little bit closer,
Yeah.
But so out of everything that you've done in the industry, so you've worked at Scores, you've worked at Sapphire, MedMen, 11 Group, now with the Hippo. I'm going to take the Hippo and I'm going to take 11 out of the equation. Those two out.
Okay.
With your experiences before all that, what were some of the things, like your biggest successes, or maybe things that you learned from different people that got you to where you're at today?
Okay. That's a great question. And at first I thought you were going to ask what is like one event or one thing that I think stands out. I'm going to tell you that anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, CES, when one day we were looking on it, I believe it was either Facebook or Instagram, and we saw that dancing robot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, this thing is like super cool, and then, I asked my friend Justin Wu, I go, do you think you can find this guy for me? And he was like, yeah, let me see. And we got a hold of the guy, and he's actually an artist, a pretty well-known artist. Mm-hmm. And I contacted him, and I go, listen, I want your robot. We're a strip club. There's like AI stuff is coming in right now. CS is coming. Your robot would be great because it's like a stripper robot. And the guy got offended because he's an artist, and I'm telling him I want to use this art robot for a strip club, and he refused. And I called him back, and I go, listen, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm never gonna stop calling you until you say yes. That's what I told him. I said, I'm just gonna call you and call you and call you until you say yes. You have no choice. And I called him the next day, and then he finally said, fine. And I said, ship the robot. And he goes, yeah, but, I go, I'll buy you a ticket too, whatever. And I had planned vacation, so I actually was in Japan. And the robot came in, the guy came in, Justin even went and picked him up. And at that point, I was remote, and I'm like trying to plan all this thing from a far away. And I remember that I loved watching that show with the motorcycles, whatever it was called. The father and the son that always argued.
Oh, like West Coast Chopper?
Yeah, whatever. And they always would unveil a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then this robot thing got so much press. Everybody wanted to see it. I'm like, we got to do something cool. We got to do like an unveiling, right? We can't just leave it there and have, because it got news worldwide. It was like worldwide. Top 5 things to do it for CES that year. Number 1 was to see the robot at Sapphire. It was unbelievable. We had so many news stations wanting to see the thing. So that's what we did. We put it in a showroom on stage. We did unveiling. We had so many news cameras in that room, trying to see what this thing is like. And I wasn't even here, and it was just like so cool to be able to pull something off like that and not even be here, because you have a good team of people around you and friends of people that support you.
Yep.
And I think that comes down to what you say, and I think it's the same with Gino and same with you. It's never really about us. It's about our team, and we're able to be us and do what we do because of our team. So, that's always something that I keep in my mind, that I can only do what I do because I have somebody else doing other things that allow me to do me, that all work together.
I 100% agree with you on that.
You
Because you're right, though, because actually I do remember that. And it's kind of funny because it kind of leads into, into something else. Like I'm a huge component or a believer in layered marketing. You can't just go out and say, oh, we're going to go all in with this one thing. You got to have, there's so many different senses, so many different things that people are looking for in the world. And if you try to muddy it with just like a DJ, you try to muddy it with just the hottest girls, you try to muddy it with, you need to have all these different elements because you're going to capture certain people. We had a whole conversation about like Monday Night Football. You're like, hey, do you think this is something, we got flyers made, but we haven't really been pushing any of this stuff. Do you think it's even worth doing something like that? Or should we at least get it out there? And we were just having a friendly conversation. Not that you were asking me permission, but you were just, good conversation about it. And I said, hey, if it brings in 2 people, that's 2 more people than you had before. Or brings in 10 people, brings in 20 people. You can build on things. And that right there goes back to if it's working, we hit the gas. If it's not working, we let off on the gas, right? You can keep that promotion going as long as you want. You could throw in a full moon party. You throw in this. You don't know what's attracting these people to come there. And that was one thing on a bigger scale for Sapphire. I mean, you guys are the world's largest gentleman's club. That was like your big tagline, right? World's largest gentleman's club. And by the way, if you haven't been there, it's an incredible club. The fact that you had that robot for CES being the number 1 drawing convention to Las Vegas, I would probably have to say that you probably broke major records for revenue that weekend at Sapphire. Everybody wanted to go there.
CS has always been a great moneymaker. And also with girls. I remember one specific year that we had nearly 600 girls working one night.
600?
Yeah. Nearly 600. It was 500 and like high 500s. And I remember telling myself, holy wow, man, that is insane because we're just one club. Imagine how many other girls are at other clubs. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I mean, but all the other clubs, they don't.
No, but they have 200, they have 300.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't have 600 on the floor at one time.
Yeah, add it all up, there's like 8,000 strippers in Vegas right now working. Like,
no, 100%.
If you think about it, that's like insane, right?
That's always kind of blown my mind of like, if that industry ever became not popular to be a dancer and entertainer, it would crush the whole industry, right? But there's always a new girl turning 18 or in some cases 21, depending what club you're working at, right?
Yeah. And that's one thing I never really understood. I think it should be the other way around. Like 18, you're kind of young, vulnerable, and you're going nude. And then at 21, oh, yeah, you can wear a bikini. Like,
oh, no,
defines logic, but let's
move on. But then there's people like Palomino are like, shut the fuck up, because they're grandfathered in. They're 18 plus, full liquor.
No, that's fine, but what's wrong with a naked 21-year-old?
No, 100%. No, 100%. I agree with you. But I think where the difference was, it was like no liquor, fully nude.
Yeah.
So you're saying, was it the liquor that is going to make people more aggressive to be around a fully nude girl? Is it the fact that she's 18, or you could be 18 to go there or be there? I don't think there should be anything 18 plus when it comes to the adult industry in Las Vegas.
Right.
Period. That's just my opinion. But then you have Palomino Club. It's been around since the late 60s, early 60s. They defy all logic. They're a fully new club. They're 18 plus, and they have a full bar.
And they got liquor, right.
So, like, it almost makes it all the best worlds. If you think about it, for that, let's go back to the cabaret person.
Yeah.
The guy that wants to go and hang out, be around pretty girls, That's probably, and again, we're having a friendly conversation. That's where I would think that the average person should probably at least go check out once or twice, because it's a whole different experience. Me personally, when I go to a gentleman's club, I like to just hang out with my friends. Of course, you're bringing around pretty girls, you're talking to pretty girls. Every once in a while, you kind of get roped into that whole underworld of what the gentleman's club is. But that's not what I go to a gentleman's club for. I don't know. I've always felt really comfortable going to a gentleman's club. Just it's like going to your favorite bar. Cheers. Everybody kind of knew my name. I mean, I'm kind of spoiled because I've been doing this a long time, but it just, to me, has always been really fun to be around that environment. Going and, back in the day, seeing you at Sapphire, because actually, if you were at Sapphire, that was a rare occasion that night, because you busted your ass, 6-7 days a week, from an office.
Yeah, I don't drink much or barely at all anymore. And I hate putting myself in these situations. Everybody's like, "Hey, let's have a drink," and it's really not polite, turn down people, especially.
Of course not.
They're spending money buying bottles.
We should have a drink.
So it's like trying to avoid those situations. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, do me a favor, come to my club, buy some bottles. I don't want to drink. Yeah, no, 100% right. Yeah. I definitely get that. I mean, the one thing that for many years. I was a smoker, not cannabis, but cigarettes. And it's because I was around that social environment. A lot of people around me were smokers. Now I gave that up. Now I'm into vaping, and everybody's like, "So when are you going to give up drinking?" First of all, to me, drinking, like, I think if you can control yourself, like, I'm actually, and you've been around me plenty of times when I drink, I'm actually probably funnier. I'm probably better to be around. I kind of like, let loose a little bit, but I'm not an ass. And I think the people that, that can't control the liquor shouldn't drink. But you're actually a fun person to be around.
But I smoke all the time. So it's
of course you do.
Everybody has their vice, you know what I mean? But to me, I just don't like to mix. So doing both.
And anybody who's watching this outside of Nevada, or probably California, because they get it too, it's legal in Nevada. So what he's doing, don't call the feds on us or anything.
And not to change the topic, it's weird. I've been actually seeing recently that a lot of people kind of like gave up drinking.
Me too.
And I don't know why and what the reason is, and does it have anything to do with COVID? Does it not? I don't know. But it's just weird. All of a sudden, it's like some kind of a trend.
There's a girl that works in Miami.
Yeah.
Became pretty friendly with her, or friends with her, over the last several years. And she gave up drinking. And her reasoning behind it, there was twofold. Number one, after she had COVID, she said she had COVID a couple times. The second time, she lost her smell and her taste. She said liquor does not taste the same to her anymore. It actually, she said, it tastes kind of disgusting. And she was a big tequila person, that reposado tequila, like what the trend everybody's on right now. The second thing is that she lost control. She was like that really fun person to be around, but like her ambitions, her morals kind of went out the window, and she wanted to be a better person. So she's like, really is for the second reason, but the first reason is it just tastes like shit to me. I just didn't like it. So it could be a COVID thing. But also I think a lot of the people that I think the people that are kind of coming into the industry, we're not really as friendly with those people, and we don't really know like the reason why they're like that 21-year-old, that fresh off the boat 21-year-old in Las Vegas that rolls into the Peppermint Hippo in the back door and says, "I want to work here. What's it going to take for me to work here?" And you're like, go down and get your license, go down and get this, and then come back, and we'll get you a sheriff's card, and this is how it works. That person's so excited to be on that floor working in Las Vegas that I don't think there's a drinking, a cannabis. It is all together. Plus, I mean, we also have another vice here in town, and
Vegas is completely different. But I mean, I've seen like in New York where they have like these clubs, no alcohol, like straight up, and that's the whole thing. They be there sober, and I'm like, it's not like I'm for it or against it. It's just fucking weird.
It is. It is. I mean, to me, I think, like for me to be out and about and actually like in that energy of the high energy of I couldn't go to 11 and not drink. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to Excess and not drink.
Yeah,
I
but
couldn't
if
go
you
to Pepper
wanted
and
to,
Hippo.
it's okay. But on the premise that you're going there not to, that's just fucking weird.
I mean, there is that trend. I have actually talked to a few people that are actually developing these concepts with real money behind them. Didn't end up working with them, not because honestly, I just don't. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the concept. I don't like to do marketing for places I don't think that either I don't understand, and I could be 100% wrong. Do I think it's a good thing? Hey, if it works, go for it. But I don't think that you're going to be. You're not like saving anybody or doing anything different. If I want to go to a club and not drink, I should have that power and that resistance to not drink at a place that has
Right,
liquor.
but you're now on the customer side. Now imagine being the house. How do you make money?
Can't.
How do you make money?
A big
How do you
door,
make it fun?
A big door charge and $30 Red Bulls, man.
Okay, but how many people are going to go for that, right?
Yeah,
Because
I
if
agree.
you want it to be a nice place, you want it to have good music, you need to have good, talented DJs, whatever. That costs money, right? So how do you, from a business standpoint, makes no sense to me. Unless there's things I don't know, or I don't know. Is it a membership? Is it, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. You know, it for some of you that understand this joke, but sometimes this is the most valuable thing for a club, specifically an after-hours club, is water. And they'll charge $10, $12, $15 for a bottle of water because they can get away with it. Because people...
Yeah, but you'll buy 2 bottles of water. But when you're drinking, you're staying longer, you're drinking more. Really, how much water can you drink before you go to the bathroom? And
Well, think
pee?
about a bottle presentation with Bang energy drink or with Red Bull or Rockstar, right? No, you're right. There's no way to make real money there unless you are a membership. That means people have to buy into the concept. They got to believe in it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. And like I said, I mean, I met with...
Can you imagine a Vegas venue becoming a no alcohol venue? I mean, that would...
No, but I also didn't
It's probably
think...
worse than the no smoking, obviously.
No, but I was just about to lead into that. I never thought that a Vegas casino could ever go non-smoking. And there's one on the Strip right now, Park MGM. No smoking. No vaping, no smoking. They're still busy. But if half the hotels did that, would it be the same? Probably
Just think
not.
of the balls the person that made that decision had to actually say, this is what we're going to be. Knowing that could kill him. But you know what? Their location, the branding, the venues that's in there, it's okay. You couldn't be a little place or off the Strip and be that. It will never work.
Yeah, because they have a nightclub in there called On the Record.
Right.
And actually, I love that place. I used to literally go there.
Blake.
Yeah, all the time. I love that place. They had an amazing Wednesday industry day. You can go there, kind of hop around different tables. They had a little secret room. But I vape. When I drink, I vape more. You can't vape there. I'm not going there. Point blank.
Right.
And it sucks that that it kind of comes down to it. Italy or Eatery, whatever it's called,
Italy.
Fucking love that place. I would literally go in, go to the butcher and say, okay, I need this steak, medium. I go over and get my pasta, go over to the bar, get a couple glasses of wine, put all the food together with a good group of people. I would have an incredible time there. Again, if I cannot feel comfortable,
Yeah. And most people that smoke cigarettes, that's the first thing they do when they're done eating, right?
have a cigarette.
So now you're going to have to walk like all the way to the front or outside and stuff.
Yeah, it is a little weird because every time you do, like whenever I pull up there, because typically I valet park at Park MGM to go to a Vegas Golden Knights game. I'll valet there and then walk over and then come back. And almost every time, both times, I'm always looking to see how many smokers are outside because I'm still trying to see, is this a social experiment? But I'm also not going to Park MGM other than when I'm going to a Golden Knights game. So maybe there's a deception there that the place, I think it's busy. Maybe it's really not.
Yeah.
I don't know. But But even the 21 plus properties, Circa, brand new, gorgeous property downtown, right? And they're 21 plus. They ID they ID your ass to walk in.
To get in, right?
Which there's some people that there's a vice there that like I don't want to be gambling, drinking, smoking, whatever you do, and have like a stroller roll by or like a little 4-year-old running by. You know what I mean? So I get it. That actually made a lot of sense to me, and it's working. Cromwell's the same way.
And I think the win too. Unless you're a guest, you can be like unless you're a hotel guest, you have a room, you cannot go in with a stroller on property.
See, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and you're right. It's just.
But here's the thing, though. But I'm also a big component that they got to figure out a family-friendly way of including those type of people, because really the only option is Circus. Right? And Circus is an old property. And, you know, like a lot of people that I would say locals that live here would have other probably adjectives of describing the property. I actually like the property. Like I grew up going to the Midway.
Me too, dude. I love the circus acts. I love all the games. Are you kidding, dude? That was the best.
I literally, and there's going to be some people who are going to watch this and laugh, but that was actually one of my first go-to spots. Well, actually not my first go-to, but one of my go-to spots whenever I'm going to take a girl on a first date.
Me too.
No way.
Yeah. Where else would you go that you won't be harassed? Nowhere.
You know, it's funny because you can have a lot of fun. You can really learn somebody's personality. All right. And I really have to see how good you are at Dance Dance Revolution, skee ball, and air hockey. If those in the arcade, right? I mean, the other game, I love all those. Like literally, I can just honestly, I've been known to spend a couple $100 on playing all those damn games, and walking out with like a trash bag full of like.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
I had fun taking my daughter there when she still wanted to go there. It was like so cool. I'm like, man, I can't believe I was here doing this shit. You know what I mean?
But even like a Venture Dome, right? Venture Dome. I remember when it came out. I took my daughter there when she was like 4, maybe 5 years old. I've been back maybe once or twice with like, you know.
One time for me.
The thing is that like it's actually a great concept. They just haven't figured out how to like it should be more like Disneyland. Like if you don't have a ticket, you ain't getting past this point.
Yeah.
Because they're letting too many people in there. They're just you know, they're just walking around and not spending any money and up to no good, and you know the whole thing. But like if it's like, hey, if anybody from Phil Ruffin's group is watching this, I'm telling you, the best advice is literally make it a $50 pass to get in, all the rides, do some like other things in there like for free. For the locals, do like a summer pass, kind of like what they do for Wet and Wild. You do that. A, you cleaned up the property. B, you're actually going to have people that are going to go in there and spend money and actually have a good time, because even the Midway in there, well, it's not really a Midway, it's just a carnival thing, it's super fun. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, I'm a kid at heart. Like, literally, if you threw a whole bunch of Legos on the ground right now, I'd play with them. Like, I don't know, I've always been a kid at heart.
You know what property I actually regret not going to and spending more time at? You know where Topgolf is now? Remember it used to be a little water park?
Yep.
Yeah. Looking back now, I was like, man, I wish I went there more often. You know? Just because it's gone. And, of course, Wet and Wild. I mean, but, yeah.
Well, Wet and Wild was on the Strip. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I haven't even been to the new one.
Yeah, me too. I haven't.
No, I mean,
there's no way it can be anything close to what this was.
No, I mean the Deristuga.
The Deristuga.
Yeah, that was like I remember getting dropped off there as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was like in junior high school, getting dropped off, and it was like this is the coolest thing in the world. I'm at a water park on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah, and remember once a year they used to have that KLUC 98.5. Yep. Whoever can go down the slide the longest, it would take like 3 days before somebody gave up.
Oh, you had to keep going?
Yeah. You just keep sliding and going and going and going, and man.
Man, those were the days, man. Those were the days. Yeah, I have no idea. I dropped my daughter off there, well, this was probably 10 years ago now, with her friends, and at Wet 'n Wild, the new one. And went picked them up afterwards. I said, "Hey, how was it?" And they were like, "Oh, it's okay." Just it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, that place sucks. Okay, again, I don't want to downplay anything, but that's my perception. You didn't even win over a 15-year-old at the time.
Yeah.
How are you going to win over a 25-year-old?
Right.
So, but it's funny. But even like Cowabunga Bay, their competition, I've never been, but I hear amazing things about the place. You know, they actually do a lot of. I take it back. I have been there, but I was there for a night event. But they do a lot of like 21 plus events there. Again, my schedule's never matched to be able to go to one, but yeah, I mean, but Vegas is evolving so much. I mean, we can sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours, you know. But the last thing I want to do to kind of get your perspective on, because I've asked a few other people on this show, what do you think is going to be a bigger revenue driver for Las Vegas? F1 or Super Bowl?
It's a tough one. And I'm actually real curious to be past those two events to actually know for sure what it is.
Which one?
Okay, so we haven't seen the room rates for Super Bowl.
We haven't. We have seen them for F1.
We definitely seen them for F1.
And we're almost sold out.
Right. And F1 is how many days event?
Well, I mean, so there's actually 3 days of actual racing.
Okay.
But just like with anything else,
no, I got you.
Early.
So Super Bowl is really a weekend, and this would also be 3 days, which could be a weekend, right? But is it over a weekend or no?
Well, so here's a unique thing, and this is I don't know the answer to this. Vegas has the Pro Bowl now.
Okay.
So we're at the Pro Bowl in a few months. Are we getting the Pro Bowl a week before the Super Bowl?
Oh,
that changes everything.
Yeah.
Now, typically the Super Bowl always starts the day after Pro Bowl. Everybody leaves Pro Bowl and heads over to wherever the Super Bowl is being held. I would say 5 solid quality days, if not 6, Monday through Sunday. The whole city, everybody's going to just dump out on that Monday. Especially everybody in a dry market. Everybody's going to go home. They're probably going to take that Monday off from work. And they're going to go back to, wherever they come from. But it might even be Columbus Day weekend, or it's not even called Columbus Day anymore.
One thing I'm thinking about now that makes me want to say it'll probably be F1 only because you're bringing international money versus the same U.S. money. I'm not talking down, but it's the same group of people that love the football and follow it and stuff. Yeah, and we'll have lots of extra people coming for the parties and all that. We'll have the same and big international money and all the international teams that are related to F1. So I think and that alone is a bigger draw.
I think so too. And to give you my answer, I think it's F1 as well. But I also think it's because we're going to be able to introduce Las Vegas to a lot more new clientele.
Yeah.
That, if you're on the F1 circuit and you follow the F1, you're going to go to Alaska if they have but we're going to get those new people that are going to come into town that are not Vegas regulars, and we have an opportunity to capture them.
And again, on the Strip, it's not like when they're saying Miami and they're driving around the Hard Rock in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, this is Las Vegas Boulevard. Like, where else? I don't know, maybe London. I don't know where else they have F1 that they're actually driving in town. Like,
I wish I knew the sport a lot better than what I do.
Right.
I still got to watch the Netflix series. Everybody keeps telling
me
to watch.
I haven't either yet.
Yeah. But as far as revenue to Vegas, I mean, we get it in November 2023. 3 months later, we get the Super Bowl. I mean, literally in between there, we still have to do New Year's. We still have to do CES.
SEMA.
Well, SEMA will be right before F1 by I think 2 weeks.
Okay.
But you're right. NFR. I mean, we're going to be so jam-packed, it might even be busier than that traditional January, February, March. because it might be November, December, January with a little bit of February for the Super Bowl, right? But this is all part of evolving and adapting and learning, the new trends of things. And obviously that's what we do here. I know that's what you do on a constant basis, thinking about like new things of what we need to do. But yeah, man, like I said, we can sit here and talk for hours.
Yeah, the hour flew by quick.
It did. So I just want to thank you for for coming on. Again, Shai, longtime friend and just probably one of the most incredible human beings I know. And thank you for everything. And thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Brian Kipp, SKC Live. I'm out.
Dude, it was fun.